Hey there everyone, welcome back to Gamevine, and my name is Dave, and you have those passport ready for the second stamp on the World Tour of Smash Up? So as a disclaimer, this is a review copy from AEG. Thank you so much for your support. Now today is super exciting because for the second time we get 5 factions. Man, they are spoiling us. We get 5 factions for the price of 4, which is great. I love having the brownie points of getting just one more awesome faction, even if it's not spectacular. The options are great. Now, we don't necessarily need more factions. This is like the umpteen expansion at this point. But if you are a connoisseur or a lover of smash ups, the best thing to get is more factions to kind of vary things up with. I don't know how many are here, probably 50 or 60. The combinations are endless almost. But this is the second World Tour. Now this is Culture Shock. We have just 2 different types of fairy tales, Grim Tales, the Russian Tales. We have the Incans, the Polynesians, and this faction always eludes me, their name. They're fables of some sorts as well. Now, does 5 faction mean that this expansion is an automatic buy? Well, not necessarily. If they're running out of ideas and they're just bloating the game with more cards, we don't necessarily want that. So did Paul and the crew think of more things to vary up the Smash Up world? Well, in order to see that, you're going to have to come with me. Okay, so this is what you get in the box of World Tour Culture Shock. It's a tongue twister. And for the second time, you get 5 factions. Ooh, yeah, that is brownie points, and I love it. So the first one is the Polynesian Voyagers. Then you have the Russian Fairy Tales. Then you have the Ancient Icans. And then you have Grim Fairy Tales. And then you have the Annecy Tales. So all these different kind of tales from different cultures and fairy tales from there, and the tokens this time around are actually really cool. This is probably my second favorite set. Buck of Thulu always wins on out, and of course we have some base cards along with the dividers that I just shown you. So let's go over the bases briefly, then we'll get into the factions from the ones I like the least all the way up to the ones I like the most. Okay, so the first couple here I want to go over because these are the ones I like. The other ones we'll briefly go over. But the Annecy Web is interesting because you, instead of playing a action, you can give it to some player and then draw 2 cards. I've never seen something like that happen. And once per turn here with the Woodland Cottage, after you play a minion here, search your deck for a minion 3 or less. Ooh, I like searching my deck. And then base break is reduced by 1 for each minion on your giant turnip. I like that. Storytelling Hut, Machu Picchu, Tropical Paradise, Island Peak, Island Chain, Transformative Springs, and Gingerbread House. Before the base scores, each player chooses 2 of their minions here at the same power and gains +2 power until the end of the turn. And they, of course, always have to do with something along the lines with the factions here. So the first one, let me go ahead and show you, and we'll go from there. Alright, so the Polynesians are all about traveling and getting themselves spread out on all types of bases to use their advantage that way. So a faction that moves around and allows you to travel is good to mash up with them. Sheeps come in mind, or even twisters. Tornadoes work really well with these Polynesians. So we'll go ahead and go over some of that so you can get a feel of it. So the Wayfinder moves this minion to a base where you have no minions to place and place a 1/1 counter on her. And the Tiki, if this minion has an action on it, it gets +2. Moai, other players cannot move their minions to the base or move this minion to another base. So while moving themselves, they're hindering people's movement, growth of the tribe. Choose a base where you have no minions, play an extra minion, there immediately move your minion to there as well. Knowledge of the tribes, draw a card for each base you have minions. Like I said, they like to be spread out. Tattoo artist, all about the tattoos, very awesome tattoos by the way. Search your deck discard pile for an action can be played on a minion. Place it in your hand and play it as an extra action. Choose a base where you have a minion plus 2 counters there for each base where you have at least 1 minion. Unity of Tribes, the Volcanic Uprise, such cool art. And the action here is to play the top card of the base deck. You may move one of your minions to it or destroy a base with no players or players' minions on it and replace it with 2 bases. So that is a very unique card. Never seen that. I was wondering where he was. And his power is play up to 2 bases from the top of the base deck. Move one of your minions to a base where you have no minions. The Shark Tattoo, and the Ocean Tattoo, and the Sun Tattoo. Play on one of your minions. Ongoing, this minion has +2 power. After a base scores, you may play this card on one of your minions there with no action and move it to another place. So all about moving and getting powerful off those movements, and they're interesting. They are, if I had to pick out of these 5 factions, the last one that I would pick. They're fun though. But the next one that I have up for you are the Incans. Let's go. Okay, so as we go to different factions, they will start to ramp up some difficulty of or complexity of play. The Incans are all about getting different actions or their Sun Temple and stuff like that on different bases and stacking those actions and getting stronger and stronger that way. So you're going to really need to know how to play and have a certain sense of what factions have good actions to kind of combo with them. So the strong guy here, search your deck and or discard pile for the action that you can be played on your base and add it to your hand. After you play an action on your base, place 1 counter token on the minion there. So right from the get-go, it's all about some bases and actions. After you first time you play an action on this base, each turn you may play an extra action. The Engineer, reveal a card from the top of your deck until you reveal an action that can be played on a base. The Llama, oh, there's Cusco. You may return one of your actions played on another base to your hand. Alright, so the Strings here, choose an action from your discard pile. It can be played as an extra action. Play after a base scores, you may return one of your actions. The Armory, you get +2 here for each of your other actions on this base, so stacking those actions up. Fortress Walls, +1 counter on your minions. After you play another action on this base, you may put another counter on there. Royal Highway, the Golden Condor, return any number of actions. They are super action heavy. So if you like playing actions, this is the faction you want to get. We have all those. I thought I took all the doubles out. Play on the base, draw a card. After you play another action on this base, draw a card. The Temple of the Sun. That's my favorite card. I don't know why. It's nice to draw cards, and I like the art and the name. So Sign in the Stars. This is a very wordy one. Turn the top of the card of the base deck face up while the top base card is face up. The base also has its ability. At the start of each player's turn, they may turn the top base card down until the end of the turn. Oof, very wordy. Place the top card of the base deck on the bottom. So again, these cards here are just juicing up the gameplay just a little bit, so you're going to have to take a little more time considering what you're going to play. But those are my second faction here. But now let's go on to the next one, which are the Russian Fairy Tales. Okay, so the Russian Fairy Tales are all about magic, transforming, playing spells, and the main way I can kind of show you that is the Birch woman here. So the Birch can be transformed back and forth, and that's one of the spell-like cards you'll have. And also the Toad here is just a 0, but you may give control to this minion, and you can place one of their other minions back into the owner's deck. So essentially transforming them into a Toad. So you got some more magic. Draw 3 cards. Oh, such a boss card. Then place 3 cards from your hand. So basically just cycling stuff out. The Grey Wolf. Now I don't know how thematic this deck is, but I would say it feels pretty magical, like Fairy Tales. So this says place this minion on the top of its owner deck to play an extra minion here and place a 1+ counter on it. So you got the Tsar Eagle, draw or a card or place a minion from another player's discard pile on the top of the deck. So you don't even have to necessarily do that for you. You can kind of bog a deck down if you want. Before a base scores, you may move this minion there to there, or return this minion from their hand and play it to another base as an extra minion. So Baba Yaga is very interesting too. So place another minion here on the bottom of its owner's deck to have them play another minion off the top of their deck as an extra minion. So you basically are shuffling stuff, and again, that's what I kind of feel like is almost transforming or poofing some of the monsters back to the start point, just playing games with their minds. So the Frog Princess here, yeah, it's a wordy one. We'll let you discover that. The Water of Life, place a minion from your discard pile on the top of your deck. A lot of top and bottom deck things. Then Transformation, just flat out place a minion from the bottom of its owner's deck and have them place a minion off the top of their deck as an extra minion to shuffle the deck. Bewitch, play on a minion. This minion has +2 power. If the minion leaves play, transfer this action to another minion. I like things that go to different minions and you don't have to use an action to do so. It's really nice. And then a few more cards that we have. After you play or move one of your minions here, you may draw a card. Do I know, not whether. I guess that's what that says. It's really hard. That's one thing I would say I complain about this deck is this font. Sometimes it's hard to read. Choose a base, shuffle a random minion there controlled by each other players into its deck, and fetch I know not what. Reveal a card from your deck until you reveal 2 actions. You may play any number of those actions into your hand and shuffle the rest of your deck. And Mass Transformation. This is basically just a hand wipe. Everybody just shuffles their hand and draws up again. So all about transforming, all about putting cards back into the deck, top and bottom, and interesting. I did like playing with them, but there are 2 more factions that are better than that. So let me show you the next one, and guess what? It's a fairy tale. Grimm's fairy tales are all about teamwork. So 2 cards getting benefits when they're playing together and when they're together. So Hansel and Gretel, well, they're going to be teaming up and they get +2 power if they are at the same place on the base. And the other Snow White, because I'm sure there's another one in there, I think it's in the Princess deck, this minion has +2 power if Rose Red is there. So again, they're teaming up. Little Red Riding Hood, if this minion's Big Bad Wolf is not played, each of your minion has +1 token. So that doesn't want a teammate to get Rumpelstiltskin. And this has so many different unique cards. I think it's got 2 doubles, and that rivals the Star Wars faction. So I like unique cards. So again, Rumpelstiltskin, search your deck and you can find for a card and place it at the top of your deck. The Frog Prince, Charming Princess. If a Prince Charming is here, play an extra minion. Prince Charming, if Charming Princess is here, play an extra action. The Big Bad Wolf, if the minion Red Riding Hood isn't played, you may destroy a minion here of power 4 or less. So again, that's the only 2 cards that kind of repel each other. A Fairy Godmother, search your deck for a minion and place it on the top of your deck. The Woodsman's Axe, Another Story, shuffle up 3 cards from the discard pile. I like that one. Breadcrumbs, you may move up to 2 minions from another base. And the Mouse, Bird, and Sausage, it's a funny card. Choose up to 2 minions of the same faction at the base and gain +2 for each one until the end of the turn. Basket of Goodies, search your deck for an action and place it on the top of your deck. The Grim Blessing, and Teamwork. So this one's a really good card. You get, I think, 2 of these. Search your hand or deck or discard pile for a minion whose name appears in the ability of the chosen minion. Place it in your hand, so you can basically always get at least 2 team ups that you really want together. And so it's not an issue of just drawing Hansel at the beginning of the game and Gretel at the very end. If you really want them 2 to be together, well, you can make it happen. I like that very much, but the Annecy Tales went out with their weird, wonky mechanism, and let me show you. Okay, so remember that base I showed you where you put a card in somebody's hand, an action in somebody's hand to get a benefit? Well, that's because of this clan here, and they're all about putting cards in somebody's hand in order to get benefits themselves. So you're helping people out, but the benefits most of the time will outweigh that consequence. So for example, the Python here, after another player plays or discards a card they don't own from a hand or deck, place a 1 power counter on this one, so it can get really strong as people play stuff that wasn't theirs. You have the turtle. You may play a card from your hand into another player's hand to draw 2 cards, so something that you might not necessarily want, or that you know will get played, so the python can get stronger. So you have the hornets. After another player plays or discards a card they don't own from their hand or deck, you may play this minion as an extra minion. Trading stories. You may place up to 3 cards from your hand into another player's hand. It's insane. For each one place, draw a card. So some of these, like if you have like zombies or robots, not something too magical, that might be good to mash up with these guys. Feather gift. Move one of your minions to another base. Place this card in another person's hand. Let it be full and eat. Draw 2 cards. Place this card into another person's hand. Perfect gift. Pot of beans. Place 2 power counters on a total on a minion. Place this card into another person's hand. So definitely somebody's going to use that. Look at another player's hand. You may play a card from their hand as an extra card. So sometimes you can play a card that you know that is in somebody's hand that you already put in there, so that could be good for you. Ear of corn. Shuffle up 3 actions from your discard pile into your deck and play an extra action. Place this card into another person's hand. Pot of wisdom. Draw a card for each other player, then place a card from your hand into each other player's hand. Play as an extra action. Oh, there's the big guy. I always have the big ones here, so this is very wordy, but very interesting. And even though I don't like spiders, it's such a cool card. Search your deck for a standard action and play it as an extra action, then place it into another person's hand instead of where it would normally go. You cannot play any copies of that action again this turn. So you can make a swing turn here, and he's pretty powerful. So I like him, interesting. And the leopard, whew, he's a big card. He's probably my favorite in the deck, and I like he's playing the drums. After you place a card into another player's hand, +1 counter token. So him and the snake together are going to be a powerhouse. Really wonky, really weird, and I like they came up with this concept, and that's why I think they're my favorite out of the 5. So now let me give you my final thoughts, and we'll go from there. So that is the Second World Tour Culture Shock expansion. Whenever I think of this one, gets 1.5 thumbs up. It's really good. It's better than most expansions, and because there are 5 factions, this definitely is a must-have by a smash up collector. Though this is more complicated and harder to really figure out what these factions would synergize with. So I do think this is an advanced expansion, definitely not one that you want to get first. Perhaps maybe second or third. That would be the good time to get it, especially because it has 5 factions. It's definitely worth the money here, and every one of the factions are fun. There's not one that I don't like, though I do think possibly the Incans might get lost in the shuffle for me. But other than that, it represents all of them, and the theme is really cool. And they were successful in more concepts and mechanisms that are in Smash Up that are new, just varying up different things here and there, and especially that you can put things in people's hand. I don't think necessarily that is a good mechanism, or even a mechanism that's going to win majority of games. It's just kooky, and I like kooky things, especially because I played this game so much. I like varying up things and making it different, and even if it means that I get to put stuff in people's hand and get a benefit because of that, well, yeah, bring it in. I want more of that stuff. It's such a good idea, and normally that kind of stuff doesn't work in card games or trading card games like Pokemon or the Magic. Normally it's reserved for things like computer games like Hearthstone. But they took a leap here on Smash Up to see if they could accomplish it, and it does work seamlessly. Though you do have to siphon through the cards to make sure they don't get mixed up. There have been a few times where I've lost a few of the cards that I've handed out. Not lost, but they got lost in the shuffle, and it took a little more time to find them. That's one downfall, but I mean that's a minor quibble. I'm willing to go through that to have the mechanism there overall. So that is what I think about this expansion. Definitely something I think you should pick up. And again, thank you so much AEG for your support. Thank you so much Vine Nation for clicking like and subscribe. Until next time that I see ya on another Smash Up Week video. My name is Dave, and have a great rest of your day. Great time with all you play. You heard it here on the Game Vine. I'm out. Bye. Vine Nation, we love making content here for you on the channel, and we're almost at 15,000 subscribers, so subscribe now and help us out. This video right here, I think you'll like. This video right here, YouTube thinks you'll like. Or you can just sit here and watch me dance as a dinosaur for a little bit longer. You can visit us at our social media outlets, and we're going to be improving our Patreon here soon. That's all for today. Miko, it's time to go. Good girl, Miko.